The Invincible Iron Man, one of the MCU's most famous characters who kicked off the franchise, versus Invincible, the half-human and half-Viltrumite who strives to save humanity no matter his daddy issues. So who wins in a fight? The Invincible Iron Man? Or Invincible, I guess. Well, Iron Man in the MCU has accomplished many feats and has had many different armors, but to make the fight as fair as possible, he uses Mark 85. But considering he only uses the Mark 85 in one movie, this being Avengers Endgame, we're gonna have to take some feats from him in the Mark 50, as he used the suit much more and in more unique ways in Infinity War. And besides, they're both made of nanotech anyway, and they're most likely the same in power. But I also might mention some previous Iron Man suits, as the new nanotech suits mostly contain the same features and just buffed them up to 11. Now, Iron Man's strength in the nano armor hasn't really had many strength feats that can be measured against things in the real world. His biggest feats are probably him being able to stagger Thanos in Infinity War, but also hold Thanos' arm long enough for him to steal the stones. Now, how much strength would this take? Well, Thanos was able to easily overpower Fat Thor and be physically strong enough to wield Stormbreaker without enchantments. Yes, Stormbreaker doesn't have any direct enchantment, but there is a limit to how many people can actually use it, as Thor mentions in Infinity War to the Guardians.
Don't you think that we should all have a weapon like that?
No, you simply lack the strength to wield them. Your bodies would crumple as your minds collapsed into madness.
So does this mean that Iron Man can overpower Fat Thor? Well, not necessarily, as Thanos overpowered Thor at the beginning of the battle, while everyone was at pretty much full stamina, while Iron Man was only temporarily able to get the jump on him, and was immediately thrown away at the end of the battle. And as far as speed goes, Iron Man is actually slower than people make him out to be. Iron Man doesn't have many speed feats in Endgame, but he does in the Mark 50 in Infinity War, which is when trying to rescue Spider-Man and Doctor Strange before they leave the atmosphere, Iron Man uses his nanotech to boost them up and make him fly faster. This speed has been identified to be about Mach 10, and would be his absolute max when it comes to travel speed. But Iron Man has been shown to be quite agile and quite quick in combat, which he displayed in the Battle on Titan in Infinity War. Durability wise, Iron Man in the Mark 85 was able to withstand an attack from Mjolnir, although he did get knocked out, but he was also able to temporarily hold the power of the stones without exploding. And in the new nanotech armors, Tony is able to go to space and survive its vacuum. Now, it's at this point where arguments about Iron Man's shield being able to tank the Power Stone come in, and he is claimed to be able to take the power of a planet's explosion. Now, this argument is kinda dumb, as it's shown that the strength of the Power Stone is entirely up to the user and its power varies. If the Power Stone had planet-destroying strength all of the time, then everyone on Nowhere would be dead without a doubt, and every time Thanos used the stones in Infinity War would have killed everyone in a considerable radius. Now, the Celestials were able to do this because they had enough strength and power to actually do so themselves. Thus, this makes Iron Man's Power Stone tanking feat debunked. The second argument from this is Iron Man tanking a moon. Now, I don't know where some people get this from, but some people seem to think that Iron Man took the full force of a moon, while all it was just a piece of the moon. Which is no doubt an impressive feat of durability, but not as impressive as some Marvel fans make it out to be. Now, herein lies the problem with Iron Man's durability, and well, the durability of people with armored suits, which is that the suit itself is very durable, and it was able to take all the above attacks without getting that damaged, apart from using the stones of course, but the main problem is the man inside, which is that Tony Stark inside the suit for all this would be slammed against the metal and would pretty much be pummeled by his own suit. But even if the nanotech suit was exactly grafted to his skin, like the bleeding edge in the comics and things like that, attacks like the hit from Mjolnir, for example, with enough brute force can still knock out the man inside. I believe even Film Theory covered this problem when talking about Batman's suit in live action. But here comes the part where I talk about the main thing everyone loves about Iron Man, his weapons and gadgets. Now, in the nanotech armor, Tony was able to create blades, energy swords that he swiped from Master Chief, these weird fisticuff things he uses against Thanos on Titan, and in addition to upgrades to his repulsors and unibeam. Now, Iron Man's nanotech armor can make weapons on the fly, and his armor has other capabilities like a spray to numb pain, which I think they called nanite spray or whatever, that can keep him going, and he's also assumed to have the same fighting style analyzer that was present in the Mark 46 that he used against Captain America in Civil War. Well, I think now it's time to talk about Invincible in the show has only been a hero for about 6 months and is significantly weaker than his comic counterpart. But maybe in Season 2 later this year he'll get a power buff like in the comics, but for now we're only using his feats from Amazon's Invincible Season 1. Strength wise, Mark, as soon as he got his powers, threw a trash bag into space, and his father, Omni-Man, was even unimpressed by this as he knows the true potential of a Viltrumite. And potential there is. Mark goes from throwing trash bags into space to stopping meteors with his bare hands a few months in. Now to stop this meteor, Mark would have to have exerted about 14,858,460,000 newtons, calculated by Kiernan H10. But even if, like the calculator stated, Invincible had much more time to stop the meteor than we see, the strength to actually throw the meteor back into space would have been about 150,998,501 newtons of force. Now this is leagues stronger than Iron Man has ever done, and Viltrumites get stronger with age. And in the show, Invincible is still in one of his weakened forms and is able to beat most people. Now as far as speed goes, Mark in Season 2 confronts Alan the alien in space and was able to ram him into the moon and cause a considerable shockwave. So how fast was he here? In a calculation done by Kolf Boba, Invincible would have had to have been travelling at about 102,937 kilometers a second, or Mach 300,107. Well, even if we say this is because Invincible can move faster in space, which is never the case, I'm just giving Iron Man a better chance, he would at the very least be faster than the Immortal who can fly at about Mach 3 as stated in the show.
Sir!
What?
There's a new contact approaching Omni-Man and Invincible. Mach 3.
God damn it, I told Eve to stay away.
It's not Adam Eve.
Invincible was also able to catch the baseball that Omni-Man threw at him when they were playing catch in the first episode. Now it took the ball about 17.78 seconds to reach Mark's glove from his dad throwing it. Taking that speed and dividing it by the circumference of the Earth's equator spits out the massive number of 5.042 million miles an hour, or Mach 6,571. This means that Invincible could react to Iron Man barreling at him at full speed quite easily. Or Omni-Man is an amazing throw, I don't know. Invincible in the show is also quite durable, and he's fully bulletproof, and Viltrumite cells are mostly immune to all damage, as tested by Cecil's team. Now in the show, the government's tech is significantly more advanced than our tech, which is around about equal to Marvel's. Now Mark's durability does have its limits however, as he got absolutely thrashed by Battle Beast, which is understandable as he was even able to surpass Omni-Man in the comics and even potentially equal Thrag and Omni-Man himself. But to even take these hits and survive is quite a feat, as Omni-Man's punches were literally cracking mountains and causing avalanches. Now Mark has a considerable healing factor that even after getting his lungs filled with his own blood instead of air, can still come out fine after about a week of treatment. And another thing to note about Invincible and the Viltrumites is that they don't breathe in space. It's quite the contrary.
How do I breathe in space?
That's the neat thing. You don't.
The lung capacity of the Viltrumites allow them to hold their breath for long periods of time, even weeks as suggested in the comics. On top of this, Invincible's Viltrumite DNA allows him to live for thousands of years, so this could mean that he could literally do the bare minimum in a fight against Iron Man, and wait until he dies of old age. So who is truly invincible? Well, without a doubt, Invincible absolutely demolished his Iron Man, I'd say 10 out of 10 times. Now you might be asking why I even made this video, as it seems very highly unfair. Well, I'm just, to be honest with you, just curious to see what the response would be, as I see some people upscaling Marvel characters to the point when Iron Man now beats Superman from Zack Snyder's Justice League, Dr. Fate, Black Adam, Ares from DC, General Zod, and the whole Shazam family. And yes, I'm not joking about this, by the way. There are legit people who think this.
You serious?
I'm pretty much just making this to tell them that they're objectively incorrect, and also because Iron Man in the comics was known as the Invincible Iron Man, and I thought it was fitting to have him fight, well, Invincible. Well, thank you all for watching, and suggest who you want to see fight each other next, I guess. I mean that seriously, like, I don't want to do Iron Man versus Magneto, please, please.